There you go. Okay, welcome everyone to Paketo working group meeting. Thank you all for attending. Let me share my screen real quick here. There you go. Okay, so I hope you have the notes handy. If that's not the case, I'm sharing the link again. Okay, feel free to add yourself to the attendees list, including your affiliation, sorry. Okay, is there anyone who would like to take notes today? No? Because I think I could do it, if you don't mind. Cool. All right, seems like no exactly new faces. So we'll move to the next item, outstanding RFCs. So starting by the health checker Buildpack RFC. Is there any update about this one? Yes, there are some recent conversations. Okay. Cool. Any comment about this RFC? No. Okay. Cool. Next up, it's the RFC to extend .NET SDK.
I think this has a majority of .NET maintainer approvals. Forrest, are you needing anything else on this?
Nope.
Great. So this will probably be merged by next week.
Okay. Cool. Great. Next one is the support for Yarn Very. Okay.
I worked on this with Tim for a little bit this week. He was having some further discussions with community members around some of the functionality that they would expect, and said that it's closing in on being done shortly. He's gotten, he's just had some intermittent time to work on this in particular, though. So.
Thank you, Forrest. Okay. Additional issue templates. Yeah, this one's a bit old. I think everything that needs to be said was already said about this one. I will check with Daniel again to see if we can move forward. Okay, the add live reload library. What do you mean? The utilities team. Yeah, I didn't see Joshua here, but wondering if anyone has any comment or update around this RFC. No. Okay, next one. Well, we have the dependency management RFCs or family of RFCs. So wondering if there's any update, anything you like to discuss about this topic?
Yeah, I just got back from some time off today and looked through all the comments. Thank you everyone for reading through and asking questions and making suggestions. Some of the ones on phase 1 and 2 are going to be addressed. Josh, who's not here right now, and I were working on putting an example together last week and are continuing this week to see kind of like how what we've laid out will look like in practice. And once we have that working, I plan on going back into the RFC and addressing some of the questions around like what the code will actually look like in the build packs, like how everything will be executed in workflows and things like that. So specifically on like the phase 1 and 2 RFCs, if you had questions about like getting some more details, making these things more generic, hopefully by next working group, we'll have like more details and like an example we can show. And then besides that, Emily, I saw some of your new comments on the overview RFC. And I think I agreed with most of them. And I think the number one thing that I wanted to ask about was, actually there's two. First of all, if people find it confusing to have all of these different RFCs, I can combine them into one. I personally liked the phased approach because it like kind of mimicked like in my head how we would like implement this and migrate over. But if people are having a hard time like finding information in like 3 different places or anything, like I'm happy to like condense everything, but just let me know. I don't want to make it harder for people to find what they're looking for.
I don't have a strong opinion from a readability perspective. So if everyone finds this more navigable, that's fine. I just wanted to sort of probe on how independently approvable they are. So if like we went ahead and approved the overview and then we changed something as we're in the phase 2 approval with the, you know, to what extent would they be conflicting then? Just thinking about how that might affect our process. Because I feel like if they have to go as a, you know, package deal, then it might be easier to combine them from that perspective, just in the wrangling approval and understanding what's left to agree on. But if we feel good about like, you know, in the overview level, like we're definitely doing X, and then the details, like we know it's scoped well enough that we could decide there, then like I think that's fine. But I just sort of wanted to raise the question, to what extent, if we approved one and changed another, would that impact us?
Yeah, I hadn't really thought about that. So I'm glad you brought it up. I think that you're right. Like if something drastic changed in the overview, we would probably want to go in and change the other phases. But seems like most of the feedback so far has been in phase 1 and 2. So I'm inclined to say that like I feel confident that we could like merge in the overview and then iron out the details of like the other phases. And then phase 2 is like kind of dependent on phase 1. So that would also be something where I would expect that phase 1 would go in before phase 2. And then phase 3 is kind of like its own very simple thing that I think could be merged in pretty independently as well. But I can keep an eye on that and just make sure if there's any like weird things interfering, I can like maybe try and separate out those concerns more to the individual RFCs.
And maybe just as we're pulling in updates, if it feels like we're changing them together rather than separately, then we'll
Cool.
reassess.
Right. The other thing that I wanted to ask about was your comment, Emily, about potentially having like the overview kind of leads to less dependency specific stuff hanging out, and that we might be able to just get rid of the dependencies team altogether, because a lot of the dependency specific stuff will be going into the build packs to be owned by maintainers. And then all that's really left for, if we go on with the plan as described, all that's left for the dependencies maintainers will be like creating the workflows and the actions that will run in the build packs. So, which isn't too much. Essentially, it's going to be running steps that will be very clearly laid out from the build pack. So it isn't that dependency specific. And you make a good point that this could be something owned by the tooling maintainers instead. And I just wanted to like raise that. And if you're a tooling maintainer and you have like any opinions about that, there's a comment on the overview RFC, or we can discuss it now. But I maintain both, so I'm not really that I don't care that much which way we go, but definitely wanted to bring that one up here. anyways, yeah, we don't need to figure it out now, but I thought that was a good idea. So if you maintain tooling, check it out, think about it, let us know.
Okay. Thank you, Sophie. All right. Okay, I see Daniel here. So wondering if we could move forward, or if there's anything else we need to discuss for this RFC to add the additional issue template. It's been there for some days.
Yeah, I think we're just waiting on more approvals. Need somebody else, need some other.
Apologies, I started working
up.
through my approval backlog, but I've not made it through all of them yet.
Cool. Thank you. Got it. Okay, seems like that's it in terms of RFCs. There anything else you'd like to discuss in terms of RFCs? If not, we'll move to the next item. Upstream updates and or questions. I don't know if anyone else have something. I've been following the activity in the 4.2 OCI format RFC. I mean, it's not even at the voting stage, but there's a lot of discussion going on. It's really interesting. So that's something that caught my eye recently in terms of upstream work. I don't know if someone else from you have anything else you'd like to share in terms of CMB updates.
There's potentially an interesting RFC for some of the tooling maintainers to take a look at around supporting a so word I'm looking for, scaffolding command that is going through the RFC process now. I believe, if I'm correct, if it's not already passed. I don't know. I'd have to take another look at the RFCs.
Yeah, it's here. I guess it's this one, right?
Yeah, I believe so. So that might be something interesting for members of the Paketo organization to go take a look at, and potentially put in some feedback that would make it so that we could put in Packet and Libpack solutions as well, because it sounds like libcnb will be taken by the Buildpack authors tooling team to have something for just libcnb.
Cool. Thank you for that. Great. Okay, anything else? No? Okay, and finally, project update. Is there any major update from the project you'd like to share here? Any question?
I don't know if this happened at the end of last week or beginning, but we've seemingly fixed a bug in .NET Core around how we use app image slicing. We were having an error based on how we were parsing some of the JSON files that we were looking at. That should no longer be the case. I will see if I can find a relevant issue to link in version as well.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you for that. All right. Is there anything else you would like to share here, discuss?
The only other thing that might be worth calling out is that I believe there's a Buildpack authors tooling meeting this week on Friday. So if that is something that y'all are interested in, there's been a much more concerted push to release V2 to the point where V2 is now sitting on main. So it is getting ever closer.
Yeah, to second what Forrest said, it's a good time to take a look. We are starting the first upstream build pack, the profile build pack, which I don't know if we will actually really need or not. But that will be the first build pack to use v2 of libcnb. So if you are looking for an example of how some of that stuff works, that's something you can check out shortly.
Cool. Sounds great. Yeah, again, if you can drop a link for this update, it would be useful to dig deeper on the information. Great. All right. No, thank you. I don't know. Anything else to discuss? To share here? No. All right. Well, I really appreciate your time joining this session and hope to see you next week. Thank you.